Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I'm Cal head coach Melissa Luke. Thank you for joining us for a special edition of the Coaches Corner. This week we'll be meeting with Cal coaches to discuss how to be most successful in our program through mentorship and accountability. Please welcome Cal coaches, U.S. Army veteran Kevin Demmons, U.S. Marine Corps veteran Sarah Rudder, and U.S. Army veteran Jason Livingston. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Corner. Kevin, Sarah, Jason, welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming and being with us today.
What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Oh man, this is so exciting. And this was kind of our vision, right? For Coaches Corner to have times when we could get on here as coaches, and really communicate with our veteran athletes. So we're very excited about today's episode. A lot of stuff we want to cover today. Let's jump right in. I want to start by talking about each of your experiences coming into the CAL program as a veteran athlete grant recipient. Let's start with you, Kevin. Talk to us about that experience of coming into CAL and being a grant recipient.
Yeah, I mean, I applied for the grant. I don't remember exactly what year it was. It was about a year and a half ago or so. And one day out of the blue, I mean, I knew it was going to take a little while because there's a ton of vets trying to get into the program. So I kind of just put it on the back burner and continued working on my own and stuff like that, doing what I could with what I had, bands and things. And then out of nowhere, Lynn called me and was just checking in and I guess, saying hi. She, for me, Cal was a lot more about the family aspect of it and the other resources that come with it. The equipment is great because it gives you the ability to use that equipment to work out. Yeah. But I mean, I could work out with just sandbags and be perfectly fine. What I cared more about was there was so much information that Cal provided and there was so much of a network and a community. Like I've never had a time where if I needed to talk to somebody or wanted to talk to somebody, because now it's, it's one big family, there is no delay. I mean, obviously life happens and sometimes somebody can't get back to you, but for me, Cal was more about the resources and the family environment than it was the equipment. I had a great time with it. When Lynn called me, she talked to me about possibly getting certified as a trainer. And from there, it's just been go, go, go. Now I'm one of the coaches and, loving being part of the community.
Heck yeah, and we're very blessed to have you as a part of that community, Kevin. Sarah, talk to us about becoming a grant recipient from CAL and kind of what that time was like for you.
For me, I was still healing. I had just had my amputation. So I applied in 2004 after I decided, a big life-changing event had just occurred and it was time for me to make the better of things because I had no more excuses. So I applied for the grant and I was given a rack, a barbell, and some weights after about a year-long wait. And I started going from there slowly. And I started getting into the CrossFit community because I loved the multiple movements. It wasn't arm day, leg day. It was, we're wrecking your body today. And I just loved that aspect. And as I continued pushing myself, I realized that the weight was coming off and I wasn't as angry at the end of the day because I was able to funnel that somewhere else instead of onto my family. Yeah. And for me, I ended up losing 100 pounds total, and I'm off 14 medications, and I work out twice a day, every day now, and I'm now certified CrossFit instructor, and I'm coaching CrossFit, adaptive CrossFit, and Olympic lifting as much as I can through CAL, because for me, just like he had said before, it's not just the gym equipment, it's the community. And once you realize, it's like finding this hidden secret, it worked for me. So how am I going to help all these other veterans along the line? What could I do for them? It's more of, this worked for me, so let's see what we could do to help other people. It's just one big circle. So I love the family aspect that we've all been there, done that, and now we're trying to share the light to other veterans that were started in our same shoes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderfully said, Sarah. Let's kick it over to you, Jason. Same thing. Talk to us about coming to Catch a Lift as a grant recipient and what that kind of brought to your life.
Um, I actually applied back in 2014, shortly after my my medical retirement. At the time, I was actually transitioning from moving from Fort Stewart back up to Illinois with family. We were, waiting for our house to be ready down here in South Carolina. So I got the call shortly before we moved down here. Just, kind of like Kevin said, out of the blue, it was just like, hey, we are ready to fund your grant. And so I postponed it for a couple of months until we got down here to South Carolina. And I originally started in a gym. One of the big obstacles that I had at the time was I still wasn't able to walk. I was in a wheelchair and using double arm crutches to move around. I had so many medical appointments. I was driving from our home to Columbia pretty much every other day. So it was like a 2.5 hour drive every other day. Spinal injections, knee injections, ortho, all kinds of other appointments. So it was like every other day. So I got to a point where I kind of had to take a step back and reevaluate. Okay, I'm not being able to hit the gym, like I wanted to, and like I had told Catch a Lift I would. So I made the judgment call. I called Catch a Lift, and I just explained, hey, right now I just have so much going on. I would prefer the rest of the grant be returned, and help another veteran out because I can't do this right now. I mean, I was wheeling myself into the gym, and everybody's kind of looking at me like, what? I mean, what are you doing? But in the same retrospect on that, I actually worked with Catch a Lift, and we transitioned my grant from a gym membership to in-home equipment.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, early 2015, or mid 2015. And so I got a power rack and some weights, and just kind of started from there. Obviously, I wasn't able to do the things that I was able to now. It just kind of progressed, and I never looked back. I got, I know I've said it before. I got tired of all the doctors saying, "Hey, you can't do this. Hey, you're not going to be able to walk again. You're not going to be able to do this." And I felt horrible. My weight was going up. Medication. Sarah, I hear you on that one. Because I was on 9 medications 3 times a day. And it was just a horrible existence, and that's what it was. It was a horrible existence. And piggybacking off what Kevin said is that family aspect that you get. There were times early on that I was actually getting phone calls from the volunteers and Catch a Lift, just checking in and seeing how things were going. So I mean that was wonderful, because at the time I went from being a section sergeant in a unit to being medically retired, and now I'm just I felt completely broken and felt completely alone. I had all this other stuff going on. I had nobody to really sit there and kind of process this stuff with me and try to move forward, and that's where Catch a Lift stepped in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a long wild ride. Again, Sarah, awesome on the weight loss. I'm right there with you. I'm down. I was actually almost 300 pounds whenever I came into Catch a Lift, and I'm down to 200 right now. So
awesome.
About 100 pounds. And then I transitioned from being a grant recipient to a Cal coach. I think it was about 2 years ago now, roughly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give back to our veterans. Kind of how just like Sarah said, just that circle. I wanted to use my experiences and help other veterans kind of navigate this time in their life whenever they're dealing with getting out of the military or transitioning to civilian life, and then you have all these other things that are thrown at you, and so many different things. So you're battling PTSD, you're battling depression, you're battling stress, anxiety, all that stuff on top of all these physical injuries. And at some level, I've dealt with each one of those individual components.
Yeah.
And it's made it very, very difficult, very challenging to continue to move forward and to continue to drive and push yourself. So I came at it with the intent to be an active part of the Catch Lift community and help veterans through my personal experiences, whether it's dealing with PTSD, TBI, physical injuries, all that stuff that we all come out of service with. So that's it for me. This is what I love to do. This is my passion, and I eat, sleep, breathe, and probably annoy the crap out of my wife with lifting and research. I mean, I occupied her extra bedroom now as my office, so I've got books and computers and books and weightlifting stuff all over the place. So that's just this is it for me. Being an active member, being an active participant in the Catch Lift community.
Yeah, no, that's just completely it, Jason, too. And I can echo so much off of what you all said, it being, more than that physical funding, that equipment or gym. I know for myself, the community aspect is, one of the main things that really pulled me out of a bad spot. I came into the program, applied like 2015, 2016 timeframe, waited like 18 months, and received my equipment grant. But the equipment helped me a great deal. They were able to help me with some strength training equipment that I badly needed at the time. But more than that, like you guys echoed, it was the community and these like-minded, veteran brothers and sisters that were all trying to better themselves through fitness, and seeing that, and, getting to meet people like Sarah Rudder and some of the other women. Like I hadn't had that post-service, like I couldn't find any other female veterans like me, or even really where I lived in rural Wisconsin, like OEF, OIF, just vets in general. So the CAL program, the community aspect is just out of this world. Before we kind of move on to some other kind of stuff with like coaching and mentorship in our program that we do there, I want to touch with each of you because, we're all still injured veterans, at different spots in our recoveries, but we still suffer from various things, visible and invisible wounds. So bad days come, bad weeks. Unfortunately, sometimes they spiral into bad months, right? So let's talk about how we handle those challenges and kind of moving through them. Kevin, let's start with you. How do you handle just challenges as they're coming up to keep pushing forward and keep on this right path?
I just try to remind myself that I only get one go around. I get one trip around this earth. If that's how it works. Either way, I just try to live. I try to live in honor of those who cannot live. I don't feel like I have the ability to waste time when I'm living for somebody else as well as myself. That's kind of how I look at it. Like I've dedicated my life to just trying to help veterans the best I can, but by basically showing them the things that I find that help me, like nature or physical exercise and other hobbies that I do.
Absolutely. Sarah, what about you? How do you handle it when, bad times have come on you? How do you stay on this track?
For me, it's more like I'm not doing it. I have to be selfish at this point. I have to do it for me because I know that if I'm not pushing myself or if I'm not doing what I have to do to get myself through the day, it is not going to be a good day. And for me, it's like, if I don't get it out, I know the inevitable. I know what's going to happen. So I tend to push myself as much as I can. And on those days, maybe even harder. And my rule of thumb is 2 days. It's okay to have your bad days. It's okay to have your nightmares and feel like shit and exhausted. It's okay, but don't let those okay days be a week or a month? At some point you need to cut that off and say, all right, this is enough. Now it's time to get back to life again. And you can't allow it to take control of your life. You have to continue no matter what. And for me, it's a 2-day rule. That's it.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned that to me before, Sarah, and that's it's funny because that's something over the past month or so since I heard you say it, like I've reflected on a lot. I like that a lot, the 2-day. Jason, what about you? How do you handle setbacks like that, or just when life really gets heavy on you to continue to push forward?
It seems like more often than not, I'm constantly fighting injury, re-injury. I know I've shared with y'all in the past 6 months, I had another disc herniation, compressed nerve. My spine is collapsing on itself. Under the advisory of multiple providers, they have straight up told me that if I stop being physically active, that I'm going to end back up in a wheelchair. And it ain't going to happen. Flat out, it ain't going. I will crawl on my hands and knees before I go back into the wheelchair ever again. And sitting here is kind of thinking about it. It kind of brings me back to when you and I were actually in New York for the Catch Lift fundraiser. One of the phrases that I said when I was speaking to everyone was that I'm standing here in defiance. And for me, defiance is kind of like my mantra. I don't care. I'm stubborn. I'm pig-headed. I'm a grunt. I'm dirty, nasty. I don't care. That's who I am. I'm standing in defiance of all those who said I couldn't do something, and I'm standing in defiance for that dickhead that tried to kill me in Afghanistan. I'm living defiance every single day. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have lived. I shouldn't be walking right now. I shouldn't be doing all these things that I'm doing. But I made that conscious choice to not let those things get in my way. And like Sarah said, you have those bad days. You do. It's inevitable. Things come up. About 5 months ago, I went to the emergency room, and I shared this with y'all too. I'm laying there trying to figure out if I'm going to have emergency surgery or not because my spine was compressed again. And I'm sitting there and I'm pissed because one, I'm not going to get a lift that day. And two, I know it's going to be a few days out that I'm not going to be able to lift. And I made the choice right then and there. I'm not stopping. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to do it. So you got to find that mantra, that kind of fuel to your fire, if you will. And for me, it's defiance. I'm living it every single day, and I won't stop.
Yeah. That's very powerful, Jason. That's incredible.
That's awesome, Jason.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback off of that one?
Yeah. Yes, hit it, Sarah.
Just like what Jason had messed, like he's gonna do it no matter what, and he's gonna get through it. And as coaches, that's our way of thinking outside the box. Yeah, we might have to avoid a little bit area over it, but we can look outside that box and say, how can we still give ourselves a good beat down without injuring ourselves more? So thinking outside the box is something that I love being able to do and pass on. And, Livingston, that's a just amazing analogy. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I want to kind of transition here, guys, and talk a little bit, still about us, but broadening this out a little bit to how we can really, really help our veteran athletes, So let's kind of start talking about expectations. And the question I want to pose to you guys is kind of dual-sided. Number one, how do you set clear expectations for yourself? Because, we know you can't have expectations for other people if you don't even have expectations for yourself. So how do you handle setting expectations for yourself, that you stick to and you're not deviating from, and then by extension, how do you set expectations for athletes that you're coaching? Kevin, I want to start with you.
I set my expectations off of, I do like a planner type of thing where I write down, every Sunday, I write down my goals for the week, like Monday through Sunday. Each day has boxes to check off. That was the only way that I could actually keep my thoughts in order or on plan, because without it, I'm like a squirrel. I cannot focus on one thing at a time, and I needed to, because trying to focus on 7 different things at once it takes way longer. I read a really good book on that. I think it was called The One Thing or something like that, but it's a good book. But yeah, I write everything down. I have a planner. I refer to it for everything I do. And with my vets, I mean, I try to keep in contact with them at least once a week. I'll text them or email them or something, in hopes that, we can keep communication together and going. And Instagram, I've been using that lately. I didn't want to be one of those people that post videos of themselves doing curls or something, but I did want to do something where I would be able to address the whole group at once. Like, hey, look, I'm not telling you to do something that I'm not doing. I'm getting it right now.
Yeah.
There's a suck fest going on and I'm in it. So that's basically how I try to keep them motivated as well as keep myself motivated, because there's no way in hell that I'm going to sit there and say, hey guys, get after it. Here's what you need to do this week. And then I'm not going to train. Like, that's just not, I just can't do that.
Right.
So Cal helps me just as much as I help Cal, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I totally feel that too. I've always said that. I know I get as much out of this as anybody that's, gaining anything from me. It's been tremendous for my individual process as well. Sarah, speak to that, how you, hold yourself accountable, how you set expectations for yourself, and then kind of how do you broach that with your athletes that you're working with?
So every single workout that I do, they do as well. And we actually do them on the same day. So every workout that I'm doing, that I go through, they're going to have to go through it too. And so they'll say, oh, I love this, or I love this, or so I get a lot of good feedback from them, but it's nothing that, again, it's nothing that I would have them do that I couldn't do. And logging is very important for me too. So I have my WODs planned out for the month, and I have my weight set aside, and I do my best to either match or beat my weight that I have set for that day. And then I'll either match or beat for my second workout of the day too. So that's how I set my expectations. And then for the athletes, it's, for me, it's like, if I could do it, you could do it. We can modify this one movement in 4 different ways. So I might do it one way and you might do it another, but we're going to work the same muscle group, and eventually we're going to get you at a level to where you're happy with.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, same thing. How do you go about setting, expectations, holding yourself to that line, and then how do you communicate that to help your athletes?
I'm probably a lot harder on myself than I am any individual or any veteran that I would coach. But I'm constantly putting myself through the ringer, trying to find different ways, different adaptations to do things, because that's just how I am. I will push myself to the limit and pass and just keep going. I'll go until there's been times that I've actually, whenever I got done with my workout, I physically laid down on my garage floor and tried not to move because I was going to puke if I did. My wife poked her head out the door and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" So, but the thing that I've come to find out about lifters, everybody is everybody's either a cook or a baker. And what I mean by that is a cook, they go in and they're given a recipe and they can kind of follow along and kind of wing it as they go, and they can make things up. They can adjust on the fly. Bakers, they have that measured out expectation. They have that measured out thing that they have to follow this recipe and get to the end to get the end result. And if you deviate from that, something is wrong in their bubble. So for me, I have to be able to understand where that individual is at. Are they a cook or are they a baker? Do they need that set structured plan where everything is, A, B, C, D in order, or can I give them, the general deal and then get them going, and then they can kind of adjust things. Me, I kind of find myself somewhere in the middle, just based off of, injuries. There are some movement patterns that I have to stick very structured with, and I have to do things very structured with, in dealing with my own personal rehabilitation. But overall, I'm more of a cook because I can adjust things on the fly, not just for myself, but for the training partners that I have that train with me. I can do the same movement, like Sarah said, 4 or 5 different ways. And if I can do it, there's absolutely no reason why anybody else can't do it, because just the amount of injuries that I have, the amount of injuries that I deal with. Losing my earphone here. So that's kind of how I approach it. And as far as setting goals, every single time I'm just trying to approach it with the realization that you have to set attainable goals, not just for yourself, but for your athletes as well. Because I can't expect somebody to come in that is day one and they haven't really been in physical fitness and expect them to be able to deadlift 300, 400, 500 pounds. I'm not going to sit there and put somebody under doing like a 300-pound farmer's carry. It's just not going to happen. So you have to approach with a little bit of common sense there for others whenever you're doing that. But it's like everybody else said, there's not anything that I do myself that that I ask my veterans to do that I don't do myself. In some shape, form, or fashion. So again, it's just kind of, you have to set attainable goals clear. If you want to gain 5 pounds, great. You're not going to gain 5 pounds in 2 days. You may gain 5 pounds of lean muscle mass in like 3-4 months. That's attainable. But you got to pick and choose. You have to be realistic when you set those goals.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And we can touch back on that some more here on a minute and goals. I really like though the analogy with the baker and the cook. I haven't heard it spelled out like that as far as like in a gym fitness realm. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to use that. Like, that's good. I like that. So, something that we've all dealt with, I'm sure, as both individuals and definitely as coaches, but on the individual end is excuses. And like, I know for myself, for a lot of years when I was in a very dark place and I, was just kind of sitting in the dark, I think I made excuses for that, and I just kind of let it feed and continue to grow. Then, at some point a light switched and stopped making those excuses. On a coaching end, guys, we see it a lot because I'm not sure if it's human nature, but people tend to go to that. There's excuses why I couldn't, stick on my meal plan, why I didn't log my food, why I didn't log my workouts, why I didn't communicate back with you. So what would you guys say to athletes? They're still in that spot where they're making excuses. They're not taking ownership of what they have going on. How do you get to that point where you can flip that switch, cut the excuses, and just get to work? Kevin, what do you think about that?
I'm trying to think of a really nice way to put that. I've been there. Yeah. I've definitely been there. And it wasn't even easy to say, no, I'm not going to work out. I just don't care anymore. I've already been there, done that. I was in really good shape. I don't need to stay fit. Maybe I'd be happier if I just don't work out anymore. I tried that. It didn't work at all. It was the opposite effect.
Right. The excuses are lies, right? It's lies you're telling to yourself, essentially.
Yeah. No, it's I guess what I would say is, if you truly want a change, like if you know for a fact that because a lot of the vets that I work with, they literally just want to be able to walk with their kids or something like that. They want to go for walks, hikes, let's go to the beach, whatever. So if you know that's what you truly want, then there shouldn't be anything that stands in your way, especially yourself. I guess I would just say, if you write down what you want for a goal, and then you're improving to get to that goal every time you train. I'm not saying every day, because not everyone trains 7 days a week. But if you're doing something to move in that direction, say your goal is on this direction, and then eating Fritos and watching Lifetime is over here, you're constantly moving this way. No matter what you do, I mean, if you woke up and stretched, that will help you in your next workout. So you're moving closer to that. As long as you're trying to do something to improve and you're being honest with yourself, I don't think you can ask any more than that from people.
Sarah, what do you think about that? Talking excuses and kind of combating that with athletes that we're working with.
So for me, excuses are like buttholes. We all have one. And I just, for me, it's like, yes, we all have injuries. We all have those bad days. I get it. But there's so many ways that we can make you feel better because you're having a bad day, because we know this works. Or if you're having an injury, okay, you might not be able to do that today, but let's do this instead. That's how easy it is to just get away from that excuse. But there might be excuses, but then there's also the rewards that come into play, which are not good, because you'll have that person be like, I ran a mile today, so I can definitely eat that piece of cake tonight. And it continues every single night. Oh, well, I ran another mile today. I can eat another piece of cake. No, you cannot eat another piece of cake. Food is in moderation. 70% of what you're doing is what you eat. So if you're not only working out, but you're also eating like crap, don't expect results, because you let those rewards and excuses get in your way. The athlete themselves has to be ready. They have to want to make the change. Because for me, just like before, I was happy making those excuses. Well, I'm fat. Maybe I'm happy this way. Or, well, I could eat what I want. That, those are excuses that only last so long. And once you run out of them, it's time to make a change. And for me, it's like, you can come up with an excuse all you want, but what's your benefit? What are you benefiting from your excuse? Absolutely nothing. So you might as well get through the sucking and reap the benefits, because we're here for you no matter what. And you might want to say one time, like, again, I can't do that workout. Well, as your coach, I'm here for you, and this is what we could do instead. That's how easy it is. We're one big family. There's no dumb question is a dumb question.
Right.
I'm a Marine, we eat crayons. So just, shoot it to us straight, and, we'll give it to you straight. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I get straight to the point. You ask any of my athletes, I'll straight up tell them, nope, that's an excuse. Let's go.
Thank you, Sarah. Good stuff. Jason, talk to us about excuses. How as a coach you can help an athlete kind of realize these excuses they're making. How do you approach it? How do you approach it with athletes when they're doing excuses?
I'll kind of thank my wife for this one. She's the greatest. So right whenever I was coming in to catch a lift, I again, it's like everybody, I was making excuses. I can eat. I'm the guy that, like Thanksgiving, everybody like warns everybody about, because I'll come out before place. I don't care. I'm there to throw down. So, I love to eat everything. I mean, if it's not nailed down, I'm going to eat it. So, that with all the medication and, all these, other, it's like Sarah said, all these rewards that you throw out there. Oh, I did this. So, I can do that. My wife sat me down and she told me verbatim, I don't care what you have to do. You're going to fix yourself. And it's that mindset that was the trigger point for me. Was I had my wife who, loves me and probably hates me at the same time. Some days, maybe a little bit more. I don't know how that balance works out, but she sat me down and she, it's like verbatim, I don't care what you do, you're going to fix yourself. And so that's the approach that I have. Me as a coach, I'm here to represent your goals. You don't have to have the same goals I do. My goals I know are, way over here. Your goals are here.
Yeah.
Sometimes at some point that, they may ellipse each other and they may kind of cross paths a little bit, and that's great. But me as a coach, I'm here to help get you to your goal. I'm here to push you as hard as you can go. I'm going to push you because that's my job as a coach. That's my mission set as a coach, is to pull all of that out of you that you never thought you could do and push you that much further. The same thing we do with our soldiers every day. We go out and we do training, we do this, we do that. You're pushing your soldiers to become better soldiers every single day. And that's the same approach that I take with my athletes, is I'm trying to push you as hard as you can go and get those results. But on the same token, like Sarah said, if you're smashing down a piece of cake here, a piece of cake there, you got to realize that, you're going to pay the price for that, and as far as excuses go, to me, suck it up. I mean, you got to make that conscious choice to become better.
Yeah.
Continue to seek self-improvement. Suck it up. I mean, you can't look at it any other way. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to beat around the bush. Suck it up, push through it, drive on, and get it done. I've trained with an L4 herniation, with my nerve being compressed to the point where I couldn't even lay. My training partners had to physically lay me down on a bench so that I could complete the exercise. I've had to be helped in position. My wife's had to help me up out of bed multiple times because of spinal issues. There's no excuse. I mean, I've seen people out there running on a broken leg, going through basic training because they didn't want to fail.
Yeah.
All these excuses, it's a failure. It's an opportunity to fail. If you have to ask somebody whether or not you should eat this piece of cake, common sense should apply. You don't need it. I mean, like I said, it's straight up, blunt, honest.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you all, and definitely, echo your sentiments. And, to kind of expand on this some more. So I think it goes without saying. I mean, we all care an extreme amount for our veteran athletes just within the program that we individually coach, that we interact with in any capacity. We're all here in a volunteer capacity because we truly believe in this mission. We know what it's done for each one of us. We've seen what it's done for each other, and it's absolutely incredible. So what I want to talk about next, and this isn't, this part of the podcast definitely isn't like a feel-good moment. This is a little bit of tough love that definitely needs to be talked about it. And it's accountability and communication. So to talk a little bit to our coaching and mentoring program, we deal with athletes different ways. Some athletes need actual one-on-one coaching, so I might be an athlete. I need to work with Sarah individually. We have an individual plan for me. Like, there are other athletes, they come on our app. We have more of kind of a templated workout system. But again, there's a coach there to help you with anything. We have, people like Jason who are personal trainers on the team who, if somebody's dealing with, a specific injury or movement issues, they might go to him. And again, they need a very specific training program that's, individual to that person. Kevin, you've dealt with this on the strength side of things with athletes. What I want each of you to kind of talk to a little bit is, well, number one, when you get an athlete that's coming to you, honestly, regardless if it's for one-on-one, if it's on the app, if it's for some type of consultation, what you put into that, because we know how much time it takes, us as individuals to write those programs, to learn about this athlete, to put something together about that. Talk about doing that, and talk about, why there is a need for accountability, for communication. And when that's not there, it's very hard for us to do our job and help the athlete, but I think it's something we need to kind of talk about. So Kevin, I want to talk with you about this, and talk to me about when you get an athlete that needs one-on-one strength training, maybe they have a competition coming up or something, what you expect out of that athlete and why you need back good communication and accountability.
All right. So when the athlete first signs up and then gets assigned to me, I get notified of who it is, get the name, I get everything. I start writing stuff down. I send them a welcome email. I check in and ask them what their goals are, what they need from me, what they think they need from me, or what they want from me, what they currently do now, and also, if it's a strength thing, like it's a powerlifting or a strongman type deal, I usually ask them what their 1 rep maxes are, because I calculate off of that for all of their training sessions, percentage wise. There's a ton that goes into individual training in that regard. It's literally, I have them send me videos of their squat, deadlift, and bench. And then from there, I try to critique their weaknesses, or maybe the wrong form or something like that. And then even from there, say, it's the deadlift. If I notice they're having a really hard time and their hamstrings aren't firing, then I'll have them do Roman deadlifts, things like that. And what the frustrating part is for like a week, or honestly, it's even less than that. Sometimes it's like a couple days. They're into it. They send me the videos. We have a phone conversation. Usually if I'm doing a one-on-one thing, like a truly custom plan, I'll call them and talk to them for as long as I need to make sure that we're on the same page and everything. And, honestly, it probably takes, and I don't know exactly the time, but I want to say at least an hour of planning as far as getting things ready for each week. And the sad part is I've had multiple veterans do this, and then I still haven't heard from them since. And this was months ago. So, you
can't help them. You can't help them at that point,
No. So,
there's no way around that.
And it kills me too, because they seemed like they had found that purpose. They had found that passion. They were in that direction. They were going this way. But then they just stopped. And sometimes life happens, so I don't hold it against them, but it just seems like it's more of a reoccurring theme. And I don't know how to how to show them. I think this podcast will be great for that, but I don't know how else to show them, like, if you're really going to ask for one-on-one training, or if you're really going to ask for a spot in this program that's trying to benefit veterans and help them in their life, don't waste their time. As far as, not trying to be rude, but don't waste the time of somebody that could actually be helping somebody else that really wants this. I have veterans that joined the My PT Hub app. Actually, they haven't joined. They have never even logged in. They're in the program. They have emails sent. They said what they wanted for workouts and stuff, and then they never talked to us again. So it's a little frustrating, but for the ones that do keep with me, I really do appreciate it, and they're crushing life right now. So
yeah, without that communication, you can't adjust fire, you can't help them. Sarah, same thing. Talk to us about getting an athlete and why it is important that they communicate, they're accountable, and what you kind of expect like that as a coach.
For me, I think it's definitely extremely frustrating when you spend all this time inputting all this information and they don't even attempt to look at it. It's like you took the time to read the email and click what you enjoyed to do, and then as soon as it's given to you, it's your mind automatically changes. And it's like we've prepped all this for you and we're trying to get you going. You have to, it's give and take. We're going to give you as much as we can, but you got to take it. You have to want to be, you have to want and willing to be taken. So in that aspect, for me, accountability is very strong. I'm always trying to get on there and be like, checking in. How is today? Another WOD has been posted, or, and it's really hard to get them engaged, to let them know that all these other people are here doing the same thing you are. So if you don't want to turn to me, turn to another vet in the program that's at the same level as you, saying, what do you think? Or this is hard, or I don't like this. We're one big family. So there's so many different resources that they have that are given to them. They just don't accept it. But again, the ones that do accept it, again, they're crushing life right now.
They see results.
They are seeing results. They're making a change. They're feeling better. They're able to last longer in their workouts, or last longer without having an episode or lashing out on somebody. So they're really seeing the benefits. And I get it. When you're into this, it's new. Starting a new schedule, especially for a veteran, is extremely hard to get on another new schedule. When you've been doing something for so long, it becomes mundane. But we're here to tear things up. We're going to make it uncomfortable in your life, because we know that this works and it's beneficial. So the first 2-3 weeks, it's going to suck. And I'm not going to lie. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. You're going to want to quit. And we're going to be there pushing you every single day to say no. And once they get through that first month, it's like, you don't have to try anymore. It's like, hey, I did this, this, and this today.
You built that habit.
And I added 10 pounds. So it's like, when I see that, to me, those ones that fall off, and I still get these few that are really kicking their demons in the dick, I got it. It's worth it. Like, it's worth every second of that to me, that knowing that this person is changing their life for the better. They are doing it.
Yep.
And I'm just their cheerleader.
Absolutely. And we're going to get with Jason here in just a second to hit on accountability too, because you talk about it so well. But what we really want people to listen from and hear is that, if there's an issue, if you can't do that program, if something's come up, communicate with that coach, because the coach will help you adjust fire on your path. They can't do that, though, if you don't communicate back to them. So we really want to get that message across. That's why that communication is so important, and likewise, maybe you get that program and it's like, you know what, CrossFit isn't for me. We can get you with, a different coach in a different area. None of us take hard feelings to that type of thing. We want to see you succeed. Jason, let's kind of round out this conversation. Talk to us about the importance of accountability, and if you are accountable, what you can get out of this program.
Obviously, piggybacking off of what everybody else said, coming up as a young NCO in the Army, I always got pushed off to doing those hard tasks. And one thing that I was told is the doers do what the checkers check. So it kind of goes both ways. If I'm asking you to do something and I'm not checking in on you, then I can't expect you to follow through. And likewise, if you're not following through and I'm checking in on you, then there's obviously a communication breakdown there. There's just so much that goes into developing these programs. And, you get assigned a veteran. And for me, my personal kind of take on that is I want to get to know the veteran if they have any injuries that they're working around, because a lot of times I get those folks that are dealing with those injuries. So I identify those, identify any other issues. Maybe they're dealing with some PTSD issues or some stress anxiety issues. And I'm telling you right now, exercise has probably been the best medicine that I've ever taken.
Yeah.
Hands down. So you work to establish that habit, that good connectivity with what you're doing, and it becomes a natural flow of things. You kind of develop that rhythm that you get, and it goes from, man, I got to work out, to I can't wait to get in the gym. Me personally, I can't wait to get in the gym and tear everything up. I want people to run out of the gym freaking out that what the hell is this guy doing here?
Yeah.
Or hell no, I ain't working out with that guy. No, do that. And some things that I think our veterans need to know and understand is, from my perspective, I'm sure that other coaches can agree, I'm using every bit of my personal experience as a veteran, as a injured veteran, and as a coach. So all those things that I've been through and that I've worked through, my training style, my training plans, everything is based off of that. So this is the what I'm currently doing now. I've taken like a year and a half to develop, and so I kind of have a set base what I use for my veterans, and then I adjust fire from there based off of their individual needs. So by the end of setting this training plan up for somebody, I've easily got 5 or 6 hours in it. And that's dependent on whether or not they have an injury, because for me, if they have an injury, I'm going to go learn about that injury and find out what I can do to help support that injury and help strengthen it and get them going, and increasing range of motion, whatever they need. And accountability, if you're asking me to do all these things, because I do this because I love to do it.
Yeah.
I'm taking time away from my family. I'm taking time out of my schedule. I'm taking time out of the things that I need to be doing to help you, and I will do it hands down, gladly. I would do it hands down. I put my cell phone out there, my email. You can text me at I've been on the phone with a veteran at 12:30 at night. Just walking through stuff with them. I don't care. Yeah. That's what I do as a coach. So just have the realization that it goes both ways. You need to communicate to us. If I don't know what's going on with you, I can't help you. I can't get you to your goal. So you got to keep that open communication.
Yeah.
As a coach and a athlete that I'm training, it's a relationship. Just like any relationship is, you have to communicate. Otherwise, that relationship doesn't work and it breaks down. It could be something as simple as maybe the veteran has progressed to a point where they're just getting bored with what you're doing, and you guys need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart and kind of rehash out what their new goals are.
Right.
It could be, like you said, maybe they don't really jive that well with CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I used to do CrossFit. We used to do CrossFit for unit PT, and I had a blast. I loved it. But for some of my injuries, it doesn't necessarily work right. So you have to express these things to your coach, and your coach has to express kind of these things to you as well, so you have those clear expectations on both sides of this, so that you can get moving forward on those goals.
Yeah.
And accountability, I'm telling you right now, if you don't hold yourself accountable, nobody's going to. I mean, I can come up with the most badass training program ever, and it's phenomenal. But unless you hold yourself accountable and unless you put in the work, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay right where you're at. And then you've effectively wasted, the resources that not only Catch a Lift has brought to you, but what the individual coach brings. And I'm telling you, these coaches have a lot of experience that they bring to the table. Hands down, I would go to any one of these coaches any day of the week, and I can expect to get a world-class workout. That is a confidence that I have in our coaching team. And, I think our veterans need to realize and understand that. Me personally, I spent the 10 years that I was in, I spent 10 years building soldiers to go fight in a war, to be indestructible, both mentally and physically. Because once you step out the gate and you're out on mission, it's game on.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. And that's the same thing, same way that I approach the gym. As soon as I walk in the gym, I own it. I don't care whose gym it is, I own it. That's the mentality that you have to have. So that helps you kind of build that accountability aspect. Is one, setting clear expectations. Two, getting in that mindset and then holding yourself accountable, because I can't put in the work for you. You can.
Absolutely. No, well said, guys. And I definitely, echo it all, and just putting out again, we ask our members, communicate with us, like you guys said, we can put it all out, but you gotta take the information and run with it, communicate with us, hold yourself accountable. We can definitely help you reach your goals. We do have a question down in the question box that I want to see if you guys can just touch on here. I know we're getting a bit long on time, but so depression is obviously, a very big issue in our community. A lot of folks are suffering with depression, and even just if we broaden it out wider with post-traumatic stress. So talking specifically to like depression, post-traumatic stress, when a person's really suffering from that, how do they push themselves through it?
For me, I think it comes down to having a good support network, which obviously, half of that is already done for you with Catch a Lift, because we're all here to support you. And, again, I always make myself available to all of my veterans. We have a Facebook page. The landing zone on the Facebook page. You can always reach out. I've seen people do that. But the other aspect of that is you have to find somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, a spouse, somebody that you can kind of help guide you on this, or not necessarily guide you, but kind of be there with you and help support you. I found that was very beneficial for me. Knowing that my wife she was there to support me lifting, going to the gym, she'd take me to the gym. PTSD, TBI, depression, all that stuff. In some aspects, it is forever, but the best way to look at it is it's not going to be as bad, and every day is going to be up and down. You just got to take it how it is. And best advice I can give is do something, even if you're just doing a few sets of push-ups here and there. You did something for that day, and it's gonna get better. The more you do it, the better it's gonna get. Like I said, exercise for me has been the best medication for physical injury and depression, anxiety, stress, all that. So that's my piece on it.
Yeah. I would piggyback right off that with exercise has been the most effective thing to help me cope with it also. And again, that doesn't mean you need to spend 3 hours in the gym. It might be walking laps around your house that day. If that's all you're able to do that day, if that's your best, that's good. Do that. Build off that, every day. Sarah, help us finish up here with PTS and depression.
For me, PTS and depression is going to hurt you a hell of a lot more if you let it continue than to do something about it. This is where accountability comes in. You know that exercise is going to make things better. You just have to want to make yourself better than to stay where you're at. And knowing, again, support system, we're all here for you. I'd be happy to push you.
Heck yeah, I do know that. I'm going to say if anybody does need a push today, we will get you with Coach Rudder, and she will push. Kevin, finish us out on depression and PTS. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think Jason did a really good job and Sarah did too, of explaining that, it's not going away. It's still there. It's still there for me. When every day I think about the the bad times. But it's what you do with that. I used to think of it and say, poor pitiful me, I'm going to go lay on the couch now. Now I think of it, I get up and I look at that flag that I fly in my yard, and I just think, I gave up the opportunity to be lazy when I started dedicating my life to changing other people's lives. So if you have a goal and you have a passion, you don't have the choice. You've committed to making a change and being a better person. And I owe a ton of it to my wife too, because she's brutally honest with me. Like I said, I started saying, all right, I got a new morning routine, get up at 6:30. And then like the third day in, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sleep until 7.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I'm down here working, and she comes in, she's like, so what happened to getting up at 6:30? And I was like, shit. Okay. So,
yeah,
and I can feel it in myself. Like, it's only a half an hour, but
yeah.
I'm failing what I said I was going to do. And I don't like doing that. And I think if people with post-traumatic stress and, depression and things like that can set a clear goal on what they think will make a better life for them, and then they just, like I said, slowly work towards that better life.
Yeah.
And no longer accept mediocre.
Yeah. I think if I could just add one final thing to that, because I completely agree with what you guys said. Right. The PTSD and depression, it might not be going anywhere. But you can work through it, and you can find a way to find, some peace in your days. And I think that, we covered it a little bit earlier in the episode. Like, what do you really got to do? You need to set clear expectations for yourself. If you have no, expectations for yourself, if you have no like base level of accountability, and I didn't have that for over a decade. And what would happen when I'd get depressed or the PTS would really flare up? I would be on my couch and, wouldn't move for days because I didn't have those expectations. Wasn't holding myself to a standard that I now have set. But, that's something each of us individually needs to do, and nobody can set that expectation for you. You have to set that, I believe. But, reach out to us, reach out to any of our CAL coaches. If you're interested in getting on the CAL app, we have, there's hundreds of workouts you can get on there now. We've got all CAL certified coaches that run it. You can message with the coach. You can send pictures, videos right on the app. If you guys are interested in that, there's a link to sign up every Monday in the CAL newsletter that comes to you. You can also find it on the landing zone under free apps. There's a sign up. You signed up for the type of workouts programming you want on the app. Likewise, if you have, specific needs or injuries and you actually need to work one-on-one with a coach, and you're good with our accountability standards, you can email me directly at mluke@catchaliftfund.com. Again, too, there's always contact information on the LZ and such, but reach out to this coaching team. We have your guys' back, and, we're here to see you succeed. Thank you so much, Kevin, Jason, Sarah, for coming on today and being here with us. Just absolutely phenomenal to have you guys here and, get to talk about the tremendous organization CAL is and our wonderful coaching team. That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. We will return next Wednesday at 1 Eastern Time with another episode. Thank you again, Kevin, Sarah, Jason, coming on, always sharing your light and your knowledge with all of us. We appreciate you all so very much. Thank you to ClearBridge for your continued support of all things Catch a Lift. Huge thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, Kaylee Nasiri for your constant support and work that you do to promote and push out this CAL's podcast, and to the entire Catch a Lift team. And if there are any veteran members listening today who want to jump on Rally Point and talk some more with Sarah, Kevin, Jason, and I, please leave your email in the chat box and we'll get you guys an email sent right away. And until next week, keep it real and stay CAL strong.